Hello, Iris J here with Madrona's Pulse Teachings, and we're talking about the Leo full moon. This is on January 25th, where I am on the East Coast. It is at 12:53 in the afternoon. So we're talking about Sun in Aquarius, around 5 degrees, Moon in Leo. And we're talking about a heck of a lot more too. If this is your first time on my channel, welcome. I talk about astrology, spirituality, healing in these unique ways that we are here to heal in this human body experience that we are in. And please do subscribe if it's your first time. And I really just want to chat about this. It's really exciting. It's, this is a full moon. Depends when you're watching this video, but if you're watching it on the weekend, this weekend is threshold energy. It is taking us through Pluto's entry into Aquarius, which is like this with the sun, they're conjunct. And then the sun is going to move on. It's going to get to 5 degrees of Aquarius, and Pluto's going to be in Aquarius, and we're going to have our full moon. So this is also a full moon with the sun conjunct Pluto, okay? It's a little bit of a wider orb, but it's absolutely a conjunction for this full moon, because this is really just a continuous cycle that the new moon that we just had 2 weeks ago from the full moon has opened us up into, okay? And let's recall Pluto. Pluto is shifting signs. This is not necessarily gentle. This is not necessarily something that goes unnoticed. When Pluto shifts signs, it's tectonic plates of the cosmos and our psyche, collective psyche, and individually shifting. And we're talking about a shift from earth energy into air energy. We're talking about earth energy that's all about boundaries, earth wisdom, deep elder wisdom, and social structures around those boundaries and how we materialize society in this world, shifting into the air element of higher mind consciousness, collective consciousness, radical change making. And it's a lot, and we're going to see a lot of changes. And this is Pluto entering into this 20-year change. For some of this will be the rest of our lives. For others, then we'll move with Pluto as it moves into Pisces. And there's just a lot. And so with this full moon, which is a sun conjunct Pluto freshly in Aquarius, there are going to be a lot coming up. And there's also a lot of aspects that suggest there could be a lot coming up. So I think with this full moon, and yet the full moon is in Leo, so there is absolutely a very personal illumination of our own creative self-actualization, of feeling divine energy coursing through us and feeling that innate creative energy that is to be connected to all that is in this human form and creating with it. That's Leo energy. That's Leo energy shining out, okay? It is not, I need a red carpet and I need millions of followers to know that I am special. That is Leo's shadow. And unfortunately, Leo is equated with celebrity, and that is not the pure archetype of Leo energy, which is pure creative, inspiring, beautiful light energy, fire energy, that really just wants to create connections through that creative spirit. And so absolutely there is a lot of personal meaning that's coming up with this full moon. And there's a lot of Aquarius, which is also going beyond the personal into the collective. Now, Aquarius energy is really interesting. It's actually quite complex because it's absolutely our own personal call to break from the status quo, to break from norms, to feel called. And this is important where you have Aquarius in your chart. And it's really important to understand how Pluto's going to be working with you. to do things differently. And so the way that Aquarius energy works is that it wants the individual to do things differently than a status quo that we've outgrown. We know we've outgrown it because Pluto's been breaking it down in Capricorn. And the individual is called to somewhat radical manifestation of life so that the collective can evolve. Because ultimately, even though a lot of people talk about Aquarius in terms of that individual, that rebellious genius, it's about the collective. Even if we don't care about the collective, or we think we don't care about the collective, higher mind cares about the collective, soul cares about the collective. And so the drive of Aquarius energy is to break with a status quo that does not serve the collective, and to be called and to have the courage to follow where I'm called. No matter what people think, let them call me weird, let them call me a radical, who cares what they call me, because Aquarius doing its thing feels pretty good. And so these are energies that might be coming up, and we might be feeling it. And there's a lot more that we might be feeling. So the full moon itself, the sun and the moon are square Jupiter. So Jupiter is pretty still newly direct at 6 degrees of 6 degrees of Jupiter, at 6 degrees of Taurus. It's finally moved on from the 5-degree point where it was stationed for quite a while, as it was retrograde and then stationing direct, and it's square this full moon. So firstly, we know that Jupiter expands, so we might be feeling things, we might be feeling that call, we might be feeling some static, we might be feeling confusion, we might be feeling the shifting of the tectonic plates of the collective and showing up in our individual life, we might be feeling the radiating divine energy. It depends upon our chart how it's manifesting personally, but it might feel big. Also knowing that whatever we're feeling is part of something bigger than us. That's part of Aquarius. It's part of something bigger than us. But Jupiter there in Taurus, Jupiter's story in Taurus is about an expansion of earth consciousness, an expansion of body consciousness, of embodiment itself, embodiment being a way of knowing that we access through the body. Our bodies are so wise and they're always speaking to us, but we don't get taught how to speak the language of the body because we only get taught about this brain of ours and cognitive thinking. There's other ways of speaking and understanding, and Taurus is all about that body consciousness, and Jupiter is helping, and especially Uranus is helping to reclaim some of that body consciousness. And it's also expansiveness, it's also income, it's also our values coming up. And so there's personal aspects that are absolutely coming up with this full moon, and we really want to pay attention to what's coming up, especially because Mars and Mercury are conjunct in Capricorn. They're at about 14 Mercury and 15 Mars, and firstly they're conjunct, and so Mars is our drive. It's how we accomplish things, it's how we get things done, it's how we bring a healthy assertiveness to ourselves and how we want to show up in the world. And it's conjunct the messenger of the gods. Okay, so we want to, like, one way of working with this Mars conjunct Mercury is not to think about other people. Okay, not to think about how other people might be bothering us. It's to actually feel in to deep wisdom that we can access through that elder archetype that is Capricorn energy, and how that energy wants to be channeled and worked with now and in the months coming. Okay, and what messages are coming up around how that energy wants to be worked with. And whatever messages are coming up, we really want to listen to them, because Mars is in an exact square with Chiron, our wounded healer. They're in Aries, and that Chiron is direct, and it's also coming in into its conjunction with the North Node in Aries. So whatever's coming up, those messages, and really potentially being quite intentional about working or journaling or going for a walk and calling in that elder Capricorn energy, which is very fresh because Pluto has been with the culminating degree of that elder energy. calling in those messages, and especially how they're wanting to talk to our own healing journeys, to our own somewhat potentially radical developments of a sense of self that knows it gets to take up the space that my body takes up, and there is no apologizing for however much space that is or however little space that is. There is just the space that my body takes up, and oh, does it get to take up that space, and it gets to be inspired, and it gets to have a raw instinctual connection to the divine. And this is Aries doing its courageous leader Aries thing. Now, with that Mars square Aries with Mercury there could also be potential triggers. There could also be a witnessing of what bothers us. There could be wounds coming up. We are talking about Chiron, but really, firstly, pulling in, this isn't about other people. This is about our own self-healing journey and what we're called to actualize in the world right now. Capricorn, what we're called to actualize in the world, what messages from spirit are there. So redirecting our gaze from whatever's bothering us. It might be something at work. It might be whatever it is, redirecting. This is my threshold. This is my threshold crossing. This is my experience of Pluto going into Aquarius. They don't get to take that away. But also, we don't ruminate on other people. We bring it in and we witness what's coming up, because often when things are coming up in the present, there's deeper things in there that are coming up, and there always is with Chiron. This is also, I mean, beyond just this life when we're talking with Chiron. Witnessing and releasing so that we can embody that North Node destiny call to be that raw sacred self that Aries is. Okay, so there could be messages coming up around there. That's all with the full moon. And again, that's with that Leo full moon that's calling in and illuminating that creative actualizing self. So we've got some fire energy here. Also very important is that Mars conjunct Mercury are in a trine with Uranus, who is retrograde during this full moon. And then just a day and a half or so later, depending where we are, the 26th or the 27th, Uranus goes direct. Uranus, the ruler of Aquarius, goes direct. Aquarius, that Pluto has just entered, that Pluto is conjunct the sun for this full moon. That Uranus goes direct in Taurus. More earth energy, more earth consciousness, more radical relating and embodying of earth consciousness in our own and absolutely in the collective. And it is so significant that Uranus stations direct just after this full moon, just after Pluto has shifted into it. I really see it as it's when Uranus is direct that this threshold kind of closes, that really opens up on the 19th. So there's quite energy building towards this full moon. That Uranus is here also suggests that there could be radical shifts, radical awakenings. Absolutely, that's the case, because this is a sun in Pluto and Aquarius, and Uranus in modern and evolutionary astrology is the ruler of Aquarius. And in that trine relationship with Mars and Mercury, there could be really supportive messages coming through, okay? And remembering that trine is there, so even if we're triggered, we're not focusing on what's triggering us. We're definitely not focusing on another person. We're bringing it in to what is radically changing in my life. What am I ready to fully let go of? Because we are ready to let go of things that we have probably been carrying in our body and the way that we show up in the world, especially in the social world. Capricorn, it's transcending. Pluto is going into Aquarius. There is radical change making that is happening. And because Pluto, yes, this is a full moon in Leo, but that sun is conjunct Pluto. There could be grief that comes up. Absolutely. Grief is part of what Pluto does, because grief is a language of love, and it shows us about the lives that we've lived, the things and the people and the pieces of ourselves that we have loved, that we have potentially lost, that we are ready to let go of. And there might be grief coming up, and we can witness it, we can honor it, and we can recognize that we are changing into something radically different as Pluto moves into Aquarius. Our souls are entering into a radical shift that hasn't been able to happen before. And so understanding of time, of our very understanding of reality, this is all the higher points of Aquarius energy that Pluto is going to be changing within us. And most likely there are glimpses coming during this threshold period, during this full moon, and we just want to witness. We do not have to do anything with it. We might make art with it. We might dance with it. We might celebrate with it. Even if there's grief, we might celebrate with it. Own that Leo moon, right? There's joyousness here alongside whatever Pluto and Chiron are also bringing up. There's also joyousness, and that joyousness does want to be illuminated because it's a Leo full moon, okay? But really just witnessing and enjoying the ride, because we are in for a ride. And with that, I will see you when I see you. Take care.